Greetings, ninth graders. Many students often ask me, Mr. Zaya, why is there not a football team at Cristo Rey Jesuit High School? And I have to tell them, well, the truth is we just don't have the numbers, right? With our work schedule and the amount of students we have, we just couldn't field a football team. But I would like to think if we did have the numbers at some point in the distant future, we would have a football team. But there are some among us in the Cristo Rey faculty who disagree with that position. Ms. Byrne, for example, says that football is too dangerous for high school. I disagree with her. Myself, Mr. Hartz, and Ms. Smith will mount an argument for why football should be allowed in high school. Among our reasons for why is that it's important, vitally important, for both students and their parents to choose for themselves a decision like this. Also, we will argue that the skills, the life skills you will learn on the football field have transfer beyond the field to important arenas in life. I invite you to consider our perspective as we debate this important issue.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you waiting for me? Well, at least I could open my eyes. At least I could come back. A dead teenager can't do that. Today, you're going to hear a lot of arguments about whether or not we should ban football in high school. Mr. Mason, Ms. Walsh, and I have researched this thoroughly, and we have discovered the cost is too high, financially and physically. I want you to consider our arguments because this issue is important to you. If you're supporting a football team, if you're involved, you are involved with putting people's lives on the line.
In high school?
I do not think that football should be banned in high school. Two reasons that I think it should not be banned. The first, people should have the freedom of choice. So even though I would not make that choice for my own children, because I don't let my children play football, I believe that everybody should be allowed to make that choice for themselves or their families. The second reason that I would not ban football in high school is that sports and other extracurricular activities offer those opportunities for our students, or for any student to succeed and have a positive experience outside of the classroom.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Well, for me, it's not just about the violence. What boils down to this argument is health. Think about it. Only a few years ago in high school, we allowed students to smoke on campus. Can you believe that? We allowed students to smoke on campus. But when people found out how detrimental it was to young people's health, it was banned. Think about it. 20% of the high school students that participate in football suffer brain injuries. 40.5% come back too soon. And if students that have had brain injuries or concussions come back too soon, they could actually die on the football field. My friends, the stakes are too high, and therefore we must ban high school football once and for all.
Go.
Mr. Mason claims that 20% of high school football players have head injuries. My rebuttal to that would be that if that is true, that number seems really high to me. So if that's a true claim, we need to work on teaching kids to play the game the correct way. When I went to high school, we had one person out of the 120 guys on the team suffer from concussion, head injury symptoms, much lower than 20%. Also, we need an athletic trainer to clear players to be able to go back to play. If there's not a person If it's just a coach's decision or player's decision, that's not good enough. We need to keep these, I agree, we need to keep kids safe, but I think we can do so while still not banning football. Also, student athletes tend to get better grades in high school. It keeps them engaged in the school, and it's a really fun, it's healthy if it's done correctly and taught correctly, and can be a ticket to college or a better life for some people who tend to be really good at it.
Hello, Ms. Walsh.
Hello, Mr. Zaya.
You disagree with Ms. Smith. Tell me why.
Sure, I disagree with Ms. Smith for a couple reasons. Number one, her response is that she should have the freedom of choice, as should other parents for their children. That is an acceptable argument and an acceptable claim. The idea of banning football in high school means that it wouldn't be banned in rec leagues outside of the high school area. So the choice is still there, it's just not present in school. The second claim Ms. Smith makes about having extracurriculars in school and being good for children to expand outside the academic world of school is something that I agree with. There's not a ban on all extracurricular activities, just on football. So there are options that are present for students to get involved in their school outside of the classroom. Financially, not having football in school would save a school a lot of money, which would help fund other extracurricular activities and expanding options for students. If parents are worried about having that choice for football and it not being existent in high school, how is my child going to get to college? He's a great athlete, he's a great football player. There are other teams that exist that would allow him to succeed in that area of football, or he could try something new.
Thanks, Ms. Walsh.
Thank you.
So you've heard from my esteemed colleagues, Ms. Smith and Mr. Hartz. Ms. Smith has said the freedom of choice must remain in the hands of parents and students. I totally agree with that. As Mr. Hart said at his high school, Cretin-Durham High School, only one player out of 120 students suffered a serious injury. That is not a high percentage. We're talking about two very important things, right? Freedom of choice and a safe sport. We've talked a lot this week in class about courage, and I think football, especially high school football, is a tremendous opportunity for students to learn courage in a safe environment. Why would we deprive students of such a valuable opportunity?
You've heard both sides of the debates. But remember, Mr. Mason gave you solid numbers. Kids are getting concussions. Kids are coming back too soon to the game, resulting in death. Miss Walsh has showed you there are other options. You can play outside of school. You could use that money to benefit many students, not just one team. Think of this. Imagine a teacher tells you to do an assignment. She says it'll be fun. She says it'll bring you together. She says it will teach you leadership skills and team spirit. But someone might die. Would that ever be an option in school? So can someone please explain to me, why does having a football team make sense?